Welcome to the Revenue Blueprint. This is not another sales podcast on tips and tactics. Instead, we focus on unfiltered stories from founders and early stage sales leaders on what it takes to build a successful revenue team. If you get just a little bit of value from this, we ask that you pay it forward by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast. All right, let's get into the episode.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Revenue Blueprint. I'm Seth, joined with Jason. Let's dive right in. Today, we have a laundry list of things to hit. So I'll get started. Hope it's not a rant, but LinkedIn. Very good. We've been talking about video and photos performing, and obviously we want to get things shared, and we actually had a post that went out today with a video with Scott Britton, who was one of our early guests, which was an awesome clip, an awesome topic. I think it really resonated with both of us. It really died on the vine. Before this, we were talking about video performing versus photos performing. Maybe I'll start with my rant. Seems like you got to have a photo with every post. Seems like photos of the poster perform best. I don't want to put a picture of myself up there every day. I don't like selfies. I think it's absurd. Now I'm going through photos to find old photos of me at events and wherever I can, so I can put a picture of me with my posts that is completely unrelated, but apparently it's what the people want, or it's what LinkedIn wants. So first, I don't know, man, what do I do?
So I think we're all trying to think about ways to make the most out of every post, everything to please the algorithm. And this is something that's been on top of my mind recently as I've been kind of auditing what I've been posting, what's working, what's not.
And you've done a ton of video over the past month or two.
Right, exactly. And that's my...
Not as many selfies.
Right, not as many selfies, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I hadn't sat here try to take some selfies that looked somewhat natural, just so that I could add them to my post.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I'm considering it, just so we're clear.
Yeah, just at my computer to on the train to New York which is weird for me. I post a lot, but I don't take selfies. And I have walked around public places with a camera on a tripod recording myself, and it still feels weird to take a selfie in public. And I've done the same thing where I've looked at gone through my photo albums and looking for decent photos of me. And I don't have that many because I'm usually the one in the family taking the photos.
Whether with your kids.
Right. So I've done the same thing, but I have a theory about this, and then I have a little bit of data to back it up. So I noticed that video posts seem to be performing less well for me than some other posts. And I noticed a lot of top creators not even posting videos. Some posting them, but oftentimes not. And so I went after some data for this in particular, and I looked at people I'm selling into marketing, so I want to just look at other people that were selling into marketing to make the use case relevant to me. So I looked at 7 top creators that are selling into marketing leaders or marketers as well. And we looked at their last 50 posts for each of them. And what we found is that for everyone, their highest performing posts don't have video. Their highest performing posts are either text only posts, have a selfie, or have some type of screenshot with some markup and stuff like that, or a carousel image. And so as I'm thinking through the user behavior on LinkedIn, I think people are fatigued. People don't go to LinkedIn to consume video content, right? They have TikTok, they have Instagram, they have YouTube, they have Netflix, they have other places, other outlets for that. People are, when you go on to LinkedIn yourself, you're typically just looking for good content to engage with, or you're trying to sell something, or you're looking for a new job. And anecdotally, I've asked a handful of people about this in the past, other marketing leaders, and they're yeah, I don't really watch that many videos on LinkedIn.
Right, because you can browse written content and get a gist of it, read the bullets, and go deeper or be out, where the video is a bit of a commitment. to like, I got to commit at least 15 seconds to this before I even understand whether I want to go further.
Right. And that's why I think but it's important. So if you're going to do a video, I think it's important to also have a good written post with it, because some people may want to engage with your post that way. But when you're doing a video or an image too, it also limits the amount of preview text that you can have. And so you have less of a chance to hook someone to expand the post on LinkedIn. And when they expand the post, that drives the LinkedIn algorithm more as well. And so I think the reality is, like, although everyone talks about using video and video being the future, right now it's just not the future of LinkedIn, not yet at least, because just people aren't engaging with it as much. I think the one catch to this though is that the people that do consume your video, they care a lot about what you're saying and they care about how you say it. And so they are part of like your 100 or 1,000 true fans, and those could also be the people that trust you the most and that could be your potential buyers, or most likely to be your potential buyers.
So it's deep versus wide.
Yeah. And so I think from a strategy standpoint on creating LinkedIn content, I don't think people should turn off video as a content or as a media attachment to their posts, but I think they should, I don't know, spend more time. 50 to 75% of their posts should be text or image, static image posts, and then maybe 25% are video.
Wonderful. What's in the image? Is it a selfie of you every morning drinking your coffee?
I think that has to align with what you're comfortable with. Now, what I found is, like, creating different stuff over time is that you get, the more you do something, like the more comfortable you're going to get with it. But I think also too, like, I've had some of my best ever post was me and my kids in like goofy matching.
I'm going to exploit my children. Don't worry. We're getting there.
Right. but it was, yeah, like it did feel a little bit weird. And like the right outfit definitely helped. And it was a controversial topic too. Right. So it was like, it had all the elements mixed in. And so.
Are we going to selfies? Is that what we're saying? Because I went on a trip recently, hiking with my buddies. Anybody that's been on LinkedIn has seen me in these pictures because there's a photographer, one of our friends, and he takes photos the whole time. And I was like, don't be afraid to take plenty of me. I'm going to need them. So it's me in all these different hiking, fishing, adventure activities. I'm going to reach the end of that. And I'm going to reach the end of all the pictures from events I've been to, family photos, and then we're going to me doing selfies, I guess. Is that what it is? All roads lead to, I'll have to do my hair right. Like, really, look cute.
I think you'll be, I think your looks will be fine. You're aging well. However, I do think it is, you don't need to do an image with every post, right? Like, there are text posts that perform really well. And so the thing, we're looking at some analysis on, like,
but do they perform as well? Because again, if you're trying to reach your maximum reach, which if you're going to write something, you want the most people to read it, right? Besides the dopamine fix of getting the likes, like, you want the most people to read it. So if it helps you to get the most people reading it, is it the image that gets you a few more? Like, why hold yourself back?
Good question. So I think at the very least, it depends on how long does it take you to create that image and what that ROI is going to be for you, right? Because, like, yeah, if you have to create the image, if you're going to do one, like
I have to go for a hike every single day up to the top of the mountain so I can get mountaintop photos of me conquering mountains.
Bring your photographer friend, or
I'll have to pay for that,
and a tripod, right? Like, it's like, but there's a cost to that stuff just on, like, life and thinking about it all the time. And so I don't think you need to do it every time. But I think the more important...
Does anybody care what's in that image, just so we're clear? Because I'm just taking pictures of me at the sign-up booth at an event. Happens to be a picture of me. Like, is that going to help perform better? Like, do you really want to see me signing up at a booth? Like, what?
If it's relevant to the post, I think it will help. But if it's not that relevant, it feeds the algorithm gods a little bit. So they're munching on media all day long. But I think the other thing you mentioned that is important to talk through is the goal of the post, because I think you want to feed the algorithm. You want the stuff that's going to get you the widest audience possible to build your audience, because the bigger audience you have, the more instant street credibility you have, because people, oh, you have 20,000 followers on LinkedIn, like people that help you get more followers, and that'll also help you like start more conversations with people, get you into the room that you might not be able to get into before. But the people that may actually buy from you, which is why most people are posting on LinkedIn, to either buy or get a job or to hire someone, they are going to be the ones that are consuming your content deeply. And so I think what matters the most over everything is the quality of the content and the depth that you're going, much more so than trying to hack the algorithm for 10% more likes on every post.
Except for a post about Scott Britton that I wrote up a nice little summary of and was brilliant and died on the vine today.
It's funny. Like maybe it's just today because I made a post today too.
This is good podcasting. I'm going to take a picture of you, so I have
right. We take a screenshot. There we go.
Oh, this is a nice setup too.
There we go. I'm gonna stay smiling.
There we go. Okay, good. We get that. There's another image for a post.
But so I made a post today also that I objectively know is a pretty good post, and it's about a topic,
no big deal.
Influencers that people care about.
Humble, right?
It's like I've made bad posts before, and I understand what like the difference between good and bad. And like there was some I tagged a few people in it that the post was about, and literally after like 45 minutes, it had like 75 impressions. No one engaged with it. It was very weird.
But impressions is also just them serving it. So no, they didn't serve it to anyone.
They weren't serving to anyone. And
you pissed off the LinkedIn gods by talking about them on our podcast.
And like I've heard someone talk about how if you have like too many LinkedIn tabs open at one time, like that can hurt your reach. Or they don't like that. And I don't know if that was reason, but so I deleted it. I reposted it without, like the first time was with an image. I deleted it, reposted without the image. Same thing.
Well, the repost though is dangerous, no?
I don't know, but maybe. But then so I deleted it again, and I've got it scheduled to go out tomorrow, and we'll see what happens.
I'm gonna pound the like button. I'll just comment 1,000 times. I'm my boss. I mean, just commenting.
Random comments. But yeah, so I don't know, man. Like the LinkedIn algorithm, I think is really difficult for a lot of people to figure out. And but the thing that reigns supreme over all this stuff is like you should have to keep just putting out quality stuff that people care about. And remember, like if you post something bad that people don't see, it doesn't matter because no one's going to see it anyways. So don't be scared.
I actually think if you post something good that everyone sees, everyone forgets it the next day anyway. Like it's like don't. That's what I've learned in posting. Is like don't sweat it too much. Don't over edit it.
Yeah, so you've had a few bangers recently in posts that have done well. What have been kind of your takeaways?
They're all bangers because I put selfies of me fishing. It gets the
people going.
Oh, we talked about this. I think the unknown enemy is often the thing, and I don't do it very often. Like if I'm not deliberate about it, but that usually does well. Like the boss that has wronged us. Like, man, everybody hates that asshole. It's like you can easily gang up on the post, pounding that like button, sharing like F you to the boss that wronged you without ever naming a human. I also, as I write more, I wonder how many people are making stuff up. For now, all my stuff is genuine and honest and anecdotal. And I meet with so many founders, there's so many topics that keep coming up. And as I write more, when I talk to founders, more topics come up while I'm talking to them, and I just take a note and write about it later. And like, it can all be genuine, but I so as you read stuff, you're like, that sounds too good to be true, or like that serves the enemy and the like the whole system well. But yeah,
and it's LinkedIn is it's a fickle game, and I think we'll continue to learn more about it. But I think like breaking down the barriers of being afraid to post is one of the first pieces, and just continue to post stuff, and over time you'll figure out what works. Right, it's the quantity that helps you find the quality.
Yeah. All right, this was much longer than I had planned. So let's shift gears into another topic that I think was fascinating and will come out as a post that I'll write about. Is on a call with a CRO, right? Because I work with founders, CROs, kind of the whole stack, and recently they've kind of cracked the code of pipeline creation, which is like a pretty big step, right? For this early CRO, transitioning from he's one of the best salesmen I've ever met. He was like, came in, it made it worth his while to take over and join as one of the first salespeople. Although there was a small sales team, he is the best salesman, probably one of the best I've ever worked with, certainly for enterprise sales. And the knowledge transfer from him to other sales reps, getting right people on so that they could start to take over more and more of the deals, so he didn't need to be involved. That's happening. That's a wonderful kind of phase for him. It could have been a wonderful phase for a founder had a founder been doing that. But the next one is predictable pipeline creation. And it was a big breakthrough there. And I was like, oh, like what's going on with the SDRs and the AEs? That's like, this is a newish breakthrough. And he's like, they really enjoy what they're doing. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, what?
He hired a bunch of American psychos.
It was a funny moment of me being shocked that the CRO said that his team was really enjoying prospecting. And then I also was shocked that I was shocked. Like, I shouldn't have been shocked. I was kind of like, wait, I'm surprised I was so taken aback by you saying this. And I think it was really fascinating that we dug deeper into it around, it was like nice to hear that the prospecting was something that the team enjoyed, and that was helping them be effective and successful, et cetera. So I was like, a question for you. Hearing that a lot lately?
No, definitely not.
Right. So it's not just me. And when I dug a bit deeper, he had put the teams together, as in AEs and SDRs paired up, and he had made it, so that's great, teamwork. And then he had made it a bit competitive. And they're naturally competitive, I guess, as a team, which is obviously awesome and makes it fun. And he's like, yeah, they're really having a good time. And I was like, teamwork, competitive, like, that's not it alone. You need that. I love it. All the best teams that I've had that would seem to be having a good time, I don't even have to ask them, they were enjoying it. But when I dug deeper, they had a very technical CEO, CTO, all involved with the prospecting process at the core. They did a whole day offsite where the CEO and CTO taught the sales team and the SDRs the nuance of the different profiles and personas and why they buy at an extremely deep level. I know the CEO spent weekend time on Saturday with SDR team working through things. And it wasn't like you've got to work on Saturday. It was you want more help. This is the time we have it. Let's dive in. Yeah. And the CEO, it's supposed to be, I guess, apparently a short meeting, ended up being like half the day, where the CEO is just working with the SDRs. And kind of as I reflect on this, it's at the core, no one's too good for prospecting and pipeline creation. And it's clear that the founders care deeply about this, and they participate in it, and they will help the SDRs and AEs be successful doing it. So it's not just the teamwork of AEs and SDRs paired up. It's teamwork of CEO, CTO, non-salespeople going deep into pipeline creation and helping the team be successful versus the SDRs sit in the basement and they hit the phones and they're really loud, so I don't want to hear them talking. It's like the teamwork at a much deeper level. And I thought that was worth sharing because it just struck me as, I think sales and SDRs are often kind of like put in the corner and like they're a necessary evil versus empowered as like core competency, as part of the core competency with the leadership team on pipeline creation.
Like imagine how fired up you'd be if you were a sales rep and all of a sudden, whether it's like a virtual session or like you guys are in person together, the CEO was like, hey, give me a list. Like I want to do some cold outreach today with you guys. Right? Like that would be so motivating to see that they're willing to roll their sleeves up and do the same thing as you. And I think one of the psychological component is like, they're willing to understand my role. They're willing to see the difficulty in the things that I'm going through. And if they're willing to do that for me, then I'm going to be willing to do a lot for them. And that probably goes back.
They care.
Right. And that's like, I can see how that could be super motivating. And I was speaking with this woman, MJ Smith, recently. She's the CMO of a company called Collab Software and was former VP at Refine Labs. And I think she was saying
You want to plug your other podcast? You plug it.
I mean, if you got Frame Breakers, is pretty good with marketing leaders. But she had mentioned this thing that she's been doing where she'll do a messaging training with her sales team like once a quarter, and where she spends like 1 or 2 hours with the sales team, going through their messaging from top to bottom and talking like both like her viewpoint on it and getting their feedback to help them think through how they're messaging the company on their sales calls. And she learns a ton from that, and the sales team learns a ton from them. And it's been like one of the most impactful things that she's done.
It sounds so obvious, but it's like the truth is what the salespeople are hearing from prospects and customers.
Right. Exactly. And so I think executives dipping down to spend that time with their teams makes a ton of sense. I have one.
What a great time to do it too. Like, sorry, the macro climate kind of trend, like getting ready for the new year, right? Things are harder, leaner, trying to do things more economically. What a great time for leadership to focus on pipeline creation, because without pipeline creation, I mean, this none of this exists.
The one other question I have on this is, how's their product market fit? Because as we said before, winning solves everything. And so if they've got good product market fit, or they're able to, customers are receptive to what they're selling, that changes things a lot as well.
Strong.
Yeah. And so that's the other thing.
I think that's step one. How many companies fail because they're not very good at creating pipeline, but they have strong product market fit?
Right. And I think you're right. But I think it's how you go from good to great, right? Like you have good product market fit, you go great when you have a great sales team, when your executive team is willing to do stuff like this. But I think like that's kind of the baseline. And I remember seeing this. I used to work for a professional football team. I was in the accounting department. But,
no big deal.
But I mean, but they didn't win very often. And
you were in the accounting department.
Yeah.
So you were in the accounting department of a failing football team.
It was the New York Jets, right? Like you can look at my LinkedIn, but you
can find them on.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. So they were losing like they typically do, and they were rolling out like this bonus pool structure, and they were all excited about it, trying to like incentivize employees, and it was like dependent on like the performance of the company of the team. And everyone just like, you could look around the room and like no one was really that excited about it, because they knew it was hard to make money with a losing team, right? You put a bad product out there and it's going to be hard to make more money in anything that you're doing. And I think it's the same thing in like, I remember the sales reps trying to sell season tickets, right? Like they're trying to sell all sorts of stuff, always lagging behind the Giants, who were better at the time, because like it's hard to get people to pay for something that is not fun to watch or fun to do. And so I think the same goes for like any kind of like software company or services company that has a sales team, is that if you don't have the product market fit, your team's not going to be excited, because they're going to be hit with objections all the time from people and get that type of rejection. But if the value prop is really easy to explain and it makes sense, even if the timing's not right, people care a lot less about the prospecting or enjoy it more, because they know that it just makes sense for most people, at least from a conceptual level, what they're selling.
Yes, I think success makes it all more fun. I think there's something in that around enjoying the craft. I guess why I asked at the beginning of you're hearing many people enjoying it. It's more like prospecting is a means to an end. You just get that done, put in the work and the KPIs or whatever, and you spit out some pipeline, and then the real work, the good stuff begins. We start working on deals, right? That lead to revenue, and then we're all rich. But it's like the craft of doing it is such a critical, to enjoy your craft, to embrace it, to be like, I'm going to master this thing that will provide kind of a future, like a foundation on which I can build a future on. Mastering it. I don't know, that mastering of the craft, it seems like there's a component there that seems to be missing in this, like as an SDR, just going to be an AE. It's like, no, you got to master that craft, because if you get to be an AE, you don't have an SDR, you need to be awesome at prospecting. I have I didn't tell you this, but I'll tell you it now. It's kind of funny. I made $800 a minute last week.
Please tell me more. I'm interested. I'm very interested in making $800 a minute.
Yeah. Well, maybe I saved it, but I was an SDR for a really long time, so I write emails. I write emails to anybody that I have an axe to grind with. Oftentimes, as a consumer, there's plenty. So I have a hybrid vehicle. The electric wasn't working very well. Brought it into the dealership. They said yes, 52,000 miles, 5 years. Unfortunately, that's going to cost you $17,000 to fix the hybrid part of it. You can probably drive it on just gas forever, but it's going to have problems because it always tries to go over to electric once in a while. You can manually put it in gas all the time, but there was still some issues. And while this podcast is doing really well, you don't hear any
all these sponsors
coming in
here.
Yeah.
No, we shouldn't demean ourselves. We haven't chosen to monetize yet. Let's be clear.
Yeah. We don't. We're
doing for the kids. We're doing for
listener
the people.
first. We don't want to bother you with that. So they said basically it's better just not to spend the 17 grand. It's not really worth it. Basically, your car's lost 17K overnight. You should basically just trade it in for parts, and we will buy a new car from us. I was like, what? So I took about 20 minutes and figured out the email address for the CEO of the company and explained to him that my father had purchased this car in 1970 in Europe, in Sweden. Just like narrowed down on the brand, and drove it around with my mom for their honeymoon. And he's had that car ever since. And one of my earliest car memories was in that vehicle. And now when it was time for me to buy a car, I haven't had to own one for 20 years because I've been living in cities and in Europe. And I bought that car. And now after 2 years of owning it, like, this is what happens. And then he replied right away, asked me the VIN number, right, so he could identify the car and where I was getting it serviced. An hour later, the guy at the place called and said, the car's taken care of. They'll fix it. Come pick it up.
Who'd you email again?
The CEO.
The CEO of the company.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the 4 largest car companies in the world. And so it's an interesting thing that, like, I had to be an SDR for 2.5 years, right? Like, I hated much of it, but I really refined and in many cases enjoyed the craft of it. And it supported me in every job that I've ever had, and also supports me in my life to be able to reach out. Took me 20 minutes to find the email address, put together a thoughtful email with a subject line that got his attention. Basically, you're producing terrible vehicles.
What was the subject line?
Let me find it.
Yeah, give the people what they want. We need some details on this, because I like when you write a great email. When you've written thousands and thousands of these types of emails, when you write a great email, you know it, right? When it hits all the dots.
Yeah, it was a Volvo car, a little bit older, and I wrote, Volvo is producing terrible cars. I mean, if you're the CEO and any customer of yours puts that in the subject line, you should probably, you're right.
What's your first line, the preview text that he would see?
Well, I own a 2018 Volvo XC90, and the electric engine has catastrophically failed.
That's all you need. That's probably enough, right? You see that in your email. If you were, right, if I sold you something, and
well, it's 5 years old and it's 52,000 miles is probably too soon for the engine to fail. Now I think there might be warranties on it, but the whole thing was those dealerships said there was not. And so I had to email the CEO to either unlock the thing that I'd already covered, right, which I think existed, that they weren't honoring until I emailed him, or he put the hand of God came in and was just like, take care of this guy.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, probably.
I think it's under warranty, but the reality is, like, I had to email the CEO, but it got it done.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I think there's a lot of lessons in there and how the auto industry works is not something that we need to dive into. That's a whole different.
No. But it was the fact that I had refined that craft and over the years continue to and kind of embrace that I can use it at any time. But if you're looking at SDR work or pipeline creation as a means to an end, and you're just like pressing the button and spamming, and you're doing the thing to create the pipeline to get out of that role, these kind of foundational principles that, yeah, I guess I still use, they're just gone. They're not really there. So I didn't mean to evolve into this thing. But it saved me basically, $800 a minute. Like, and I didn't have to spend on that.
I have a related sales email that I wrote. So I had outbounded to this one company and we got rejected by like the second command. He's like, thanks, but no thanks. Like, we don't need it. And so then I looked at their website a bit more. And I was like, no, they need this. Like they could use support from RGP. Like they could use some marketing help. I think like that. I truly believed it first. That was like the first key. So I connected with, I shot a connection request to the CEO, and on a Saturday, I wrote him a quick note, and my subject line was rejected by Ben, right? Like his second in command. And
okay, that's rather brash.
Yeah, right. But not wrong.
Just the truth. Yeah, okay.
And my opening line was I went to his Instagram. I checked out, like I learned a little bit more about his personal life. And I was like, congrats on the baby girl. We have 3 boys under 5. It's crazy, but awesome. Anyways, I'd outbounded to Ben, but he politely let me know that you weren't interested right now. So usually I let those go, but I dug deeper into your site and social profiles. Candidly, I think we could help you upgrade your site and create much better content for your clients. We headhunt offshore marketing talent for places like VaynerMedia and embed them into your team full time. I think you and the team would be interested in something like that. And so like these are like a combination of things that I've said a million different ways or times before, but it felt super personalized, and it was. And he's like, he reached back out. He's like, you know what? Not sure if it's the right fit, but I'm definitely willing to take a call because it could be. And I'm speaking with him this afternoon.
But it's the craft of it, right? It's like the fact you've been doing it for years and that you can just quickly do it, and you didn't have to like. It wasn't like, oh, it's a cadence. I don't have a cadence set up. I haven't automated these templates, so I can't pull the lever on that, so I'm not going to do it. It's like, ooh, I think I have the ingredients here.
Yeah. Now it's like a slippery slope because now like everyone we get rejected by, like I try to run the same, like I'm looking to see if there's still some of these same opportunities. And it's like, there's not always, it can take some time, but it can be really high value as well.
I'll tell another anecdote now that we're just wrapping stories here. So if you don't want to hear any more, you can bail. The best salesman, my sales trainer, when I was getting started, this guy, Jeff Hoffman, he's incredible. Maybe we'll get him on sometime. He was telling me when he was selling this internet acceleration. So in the olden days, still, Akamai Technologies delivers internet traffic around the world. They have servers in almost every ISP. And when you go to like Nike.com, you're not going to Oregon, you're going to their servers in Boston or wherever you are. And so he drove to an office and was selling them on the IT department on accelerating the internet or supporting their website and all that stuff. And the IT is like, yeah, we can do this ourselves. So he gets rejected. And this is the rejection made me think of it. So they're driving back to the airport, all rejected, and they drive by a huge sign that from the company that they just said that was marketing their product, and their website was enormous on the billboard. And he's like, turn the car around. We're going back. And he's like, goes back and he's like, who's responsible for the billboard? Because those are the people who are going to care about the experience that the people are getting because they're driving the traffic to the website. IT doesn't care about lowering their costs or doing whatever it was. It's the marketing department that wants a great experience for the customers who are going to the website. It was just like an interesting kind of like, obviously rejected here, but like a different way in. I always thought the olden days in-person selling where they fly to somewhere, drive there, and you're missing your flight to drive back to the company to be like, who's responsible for the billboard? I want to talk to them.
But that probably also changed the way that they thought about selling too, right? And like who they're their ICP could be.
Well, for sure. I think in the early days it was IT, and then later on it's like, you want a fast website.
Right, exactly. And so I think it's fun to unearth some of those learning lessons.
All right, I'm on a roll. I got one more. Last one, I promise. I reached out. We used to support the websites of companies that were advertising during the Super Bowl, because when you get that much traffic, you're not used to it and your website goes down, and you've paid all this money to go to the website and then it goes down. Well, Tabasco used to have some ones about, I think it was kind of lewd in retrospect, where they burned the girl's clothes off or something. I don't remember. It was like, go to the website to see the rest of this. There's like GoDaddy had a bunch of those too, right? And so I called or prospected into IT and everybody at Tabasco and was rejected. They're like, yeah, no, whatever. We're not interested. And so Super Bowl happened. Their website crashed. And there was always like the notable website crashes from you spend $8 million on an ad to send people to your website, and then nobody can get to your website to fulfill the thing that you did. And now it backfires, right? And so I remember I looked at the Tabasco company, and on the container is McElhenney, which is this old guy who owns family-owned Tabasco. And I called his admin, and she sent me through to him. And I got his voicemail, and I left the voicemail for the guy whose name is on the Tabasco container. And like 20 minutes later, it was like their CMO called me frantically, like, what did you say? And I had said, we got rejected. We could have supported that. That should not have crashed. But your team did not want us to support that. So now I'm calling to ensure that never happens again. And I was still an SDR, so we got the meeting. I don't know where it went, but it was really stirring the pot on the rejected by this one. Maybe not a good idea to be rejected on these things. So.
Yeah, I think like that as a framework, or as like a sales framework. When you get rejected by one stakeholder, but you truly think that you have the value, is go tell someone else you got rejected by this person. Don't try to sell them out, right? Like you're not trying to, like, you don't want to burn any bridges, but let someone else know, because there might be someone else that is more open-minded to what you're selling if they can see that value.
It's delicate. It's a craft.
Yes.
It's a delicate craft.
Yeah.
There's no templates for this.
No.
Let's wrap it there, man. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun today. I think there's a few good lessons in there, and excited to get back at this next week. I'll see you later.